Get out of here before I call the police. Account manager Richard Sterling's voice echoed through the bank branch, laden with fury as he violently pointed towards the exit. In the center of the branch, Maya Rivers, the young, black and pregnant woman, remained motionless. Her clothes, a tangled mess of rags, barely covered her bare, calloused feet. Suppressed laughter spread, mixed with glances of pure disdain. "I just need to check my balance." The phrase emerged for the third time, firm and unwavering from her lips. "Balance, you!" Richard exploded into cruel laughter, his voice heavy with scorn. "Look at your condition." The laughter, however, died in everyone's throats. This happened the instant branch manager Eleanor Thorne, after a sigh of impatience, typed Maya's name into the system. The scene had begun 10 minutes earlier. The imposing glass doors of the Atlantic National Bank on bustling Madison Avenue opened to reveal Maya Rivers. She was a stark, contrasting apparition. Young, a black woman pregnant in tattered, dirt-stained clothes, with tangled hair framing a face ravaged by the brutality of the streets. Her bare, calloused feet could barely bear the weight of an old backpack, precariously slung over her shoulders. A chilling silence swallowed the branch. An elderly woman hastily clutched her purse closer to her body, as if fearing an imminent assault. A man in a suit veered away with evident revulsion. A mother with a protective instinct squeezed her small daughter's hand. Maya continued forward, walking directly to the counter. Her eyes fixed ahead, refused to meet any of the inquisitive stares that pursued her. Almost immediately, Marcus "Mac" Jones, the security guard, a tall, strong man whose impeccable uniform violently contrasted with the newcomer, intercepted her. "Ma'am, this isn't the place for you. Isn't there a shelter down the block from Madison Avenue? You need to leave." Maya stopped, a deep, silent sigh. Slowly, she turned her face to Mac. "I just need to check my balance." Her voice, it was firm, clear, perfectly articulated, definitely not the sound they expected from someone in her condition. Mac frowned, perplexed. "Balance? Ma'am, stop joking. You don't have an account at this bank. Leave now before I have to use force to remove you." "I do have an account, and my only objective is to check my balance." A hostile murmur swept through the branch. Suppressed laughter blended with cruel remarks. "Look at that. She thinks she has a bank account. Poor thing. She must be delusional. Someone call the police before she causes a bigger problem." Only a younger customer wearing a baseball cap and carrying a backpack attempted to intervene. "Folks, what does it hurt to listen to her? Just let her explain." No one listened to him. Maya, however, remained unshaken. She did not flinch, did not react with shouts or gestures. She simply waited. And then Richard Sterling appeared. The account manager, a man in his mid-40s with a prominent belly and impeccably slicked-back hair, personified the type who judged everyone's worth by the labels on their clothes. He strode forward, irritation evident in every movement, as if Maya's mere presence were a personal affront to the integrity of his branch and his own authority. "What the devil is going on here?" Richard growled. Marcus "Mac" Jones pointed at Maya. "This woman walked in and is insisting she has an account. I've already asked her to leave, sir, but she refuses." Richard scrutinized her from head to toe. In his gaze, there was only pure contempt. "Listen closely, young woman. I don't know what kind of cheap trick you're attempting, but it won't work here. This is an Atlantic National Bank, a serious institution for serious clients. You are disturbing the peace and inconveniencing our valuable customers. Do us all a favor and disappear right now." Maya did not move. Her conviction was unshakable. "I have an account here. I just want to check my balance. It's a right that is due to me." Richard let out a sarcastic laugh, almost a snort. "Rights? You? You possess no rights whatsoever in this place. Look at yourself. Look at your condition. Do you honestly believe someone looking like that would have an account at our bank?" Maya swallowed hard, but her defiant stance remained. "Appearance," she stated, "does not define a bank balance." The phrase, an unexpected blow, struck Richard squarely. It was by no means the response he anticipated, but the arrogance inherent in him was quick to return. "Enough! That's enough!" Richard yelled. "Call the police!" But before the order could be carried out, a feminine voice, sharp and authoritative, cut through the air. "Wait!" All eyes turned. It was Eleanor Thorne, the administrative manager, a tall and slender woman in her early 50s, dressed in an impeccable grey pantsuit. Her high heels and heavy makeup only highlighted the reputation that preceded her: tough, unyielding, relentless. No one liked Eleanor, but everyone, without exception, feared her. Eleanor advanced towards Maya. The rhythmic, dry sound of her heels on the marble floor was an intimidating prelude. She stopped mere inches away, observing the young woman from head to toe. Her expression was an enigma, blending evident disgust with a strange hint of amusement. "Do you truly have an account here?" The question was direct. "I do." The answer came equally firm. "Full name?" There was a brief hesitation, but Maya, the woman who defied the atmosphere, promptly responded, "Maya Rivers." Eleanor arched an eyebrow, a cynical smile tearing at her face. Maya Rivers. What a lovely name. A pity, however, that it doesn't at all match your appearance. Muffled laughter rippled among the clients. Eleanor, visibly irritated, ordered Richard, "Check the system. Let's put an end to this charade once and for all." Richard, in a hurry, went to a nearby computer. He typed the name, waited, and his eyes fixed on the screen. A furrow formed on his brow. "Eleanor," he called out, his voice a whisper, "there's a Maya Rivers registered here." Eleanor's presumptuous smile crumbled. "What do you mean?" she questioned, incredulous. "There's an old account, unbelievably active for 18 years. A chilling silence swallowed the Atlantic National Bank branch, right there on Madison Avenue. Eleanor turned to Maya, suspicion still latent in her gaze. "That proves absolutely nothing," she snapped. "It could be a namesake, it could be fraud." She turned back to Richard. "Verify the documentation attached to the account." Richard, obedient, typed a few more commands. "Eleanor," he announced, "the account has attached documents, SSN, driver's license, address, all as expected." Maya, a pregnant black woman, remained motionless, a pillar of calm. But now something new glimmered in her eyes, a discreet light, a silent strength. Eleanor's patience was running thin. "All right, but what's the balance?" she asked with disdain. "Around $20 at most." Richard clicked to open the statement, and then he froze. Color drained from his face, his eyes widened, his mouth parted slightly, without a sound escaping. Eleanor noticed the shock. "Richard, what's the balance?" He couldn't articulate a word. He merely swiveled the computer screen towards her. Eleanor looked. For the first time in years, she was utterly speechless. Maya remained there, unshakable, waiting. Eleanor blinked repeatedly, as if her own eyes were deceiving her. She leaned in, approaching the screen. She adjusted her glasses, which had previously hung from her neck, and placed them on her face. It was not an error. The numbers, real and concrete, were impossible to ignore. Quickly, she shielded the screen from the view of any curious customer and cast a look at Richard, who mixed confusion and irritation. "This can only be a system error," she declared. "Check again." Richard typed nervously, sweat already forming on his brow. "Eleanor, I've already checked 3 times, he responded, his voice trembling. "The balance is active, the account is active." Maya remained in her spot, without haste, without nervousness, just that calm that unsettled everyone around her. A gentleman in an impeccable suit standing in line broke the silence with an audibly frustrated complaint. "Listen here, I have a critically important meeting in 20 minutes. Can you resolve this situation, or will you continue to give attention to this person?" A woman beside him nodded, shaking her head in agreement. "It's absurd," she exclaimed. "We pay exorbitant fees at this bank and have to share space with people like this. Imagine the smell in here." Marcus Mac Jones. The security guard stepped forward, visibly uncomfortable with the attack. "Ma'am, please, let's maintain some respect." Maya absorbed every word, every judgment, but she did not turn away, did not retort. Her eyes remained fixed on Eleanor Thorne. Eleanor was visibly furious. The situation was slipping from her control, and she detested that sensation. "Listen here, Maya, is this even real?" she inquired. Even if an account exists in your name, it means nothing. It could be fraud, it could be stolen identity, it could be an infinite number of things. And frankly, looking at you now, I am certain there's something very wrong here. Maya finally took a small step forward. Then let me prove who I am. Eleanor crossed her arms, defiant. Prove how? Do you have documents? Maya slowly moved her hand toward her worn backpack. Marcus, the security guard, immediately snapped to alert, his hand on his baton. Calm down, Maya said, her voice soft. It's just my wallet. With care, she opened the backpack. Inside, few belongings. An empty plastic bottle, an old notebook, a thin jacket, and a small faded and stained fabric wallet. Maya took out the wallet and opened it. From inside, she pulled out a laminated document, folded and visibly worn by time, her ID. She extended it to Eleanor. Eleanor took the document with the tips of her fingers, as if fearing any contamination. She looked, compared the photo with Maya's face, an image from the past, an almost unrecognizable portrait. That photo, weathered by time, showed a teenager with carefully styled hair, a contained smile, eyes brimming with brightness. But who stood there, in flesh and blood, was another person. A young black woman, visibly weathered by the streets, her clothes marked by dust, and her body weary from advanced pregnancy. Still, those eyes were the same. Eleanor, the manager of the Atlantic National Bank on bustling Madison Avenue, looked at the document. The name, Maya Rivers, the date of birth, the social security number, everything matched, undeniable. She returned the card with an air of cold superiority, almost spitting out the words. All right, so you are the Maya Rivers of this account. So what? That still doesn't explain why you're in this condition, barging into our branch and causing all this commotion. Maya, with the dignity she still possessed, put the document back into her backpack. I just want to access my account, that's all. That's when a middle-aged executive, leather briefcase in hand, interrupted. His voice was velvety, yet laden with impatience. Excuse me, manager. I really need to resolve my situation. Could you please ask this young woman to sort out her issue at another time, or perhaps at another branch? Eleanor saw the perfect opportunity there. You are absolutely right, sir. Maya, look, you are causing a disturbance here. Our clients are being inconvenienced. Why don't you come back another day? Or better yet, why don't you find a smaller branch? Perhaps one more suited to your current condition. Maya took a deep breath, the heavy air of the branch seeming even denser in her lungs. This is my branch. This is my account. And yes, I have every right to be served. Eleanor's mask of professionalism cracked. For a second, anger overtook her. Rights? You want to talk about rights? You barge into this place, looking like an indigent, exuding a smell that drives our clients away, causing unnecessary commotion, and you still dare to demand rights. A sepulchral silence swallowed the branch's murmurs. It was almost palpable. Some clients averted their gaze, uncomfortable with the scene, while others nodded, tacitly agreeing with the manager. Maya pressed her lips together. For the first time, a flicker of pain opened in her gaze, but she did not back down. I know how I look. I know what you think of me. But that doesn't change the fact that I am a client of this bank, and I deserve respect. Eleanor gave a short laugh, devoid of any humor. Respect? Respect is earned. And it's not by walking into a place like this in that condition that you'll earn it. Richard, still behind the computer, was clearly uncomfortable with the situation. Although known for his arrogant demeanor, he felt a growing unease. This was crossing the line, even for him. Eleanor, maybe we can just check what she needs. Richard, be quiet. Eleanor's voice was pure ice. Eleanor Thorne turned her attention back to Maya Rivers. Listen closely. I will give you one chance, and only one. Tell me now, in front of everyone, what is the exact balance of this account? If you are correct or even close, I will serve you. If you are fabricating, lying, you will be escorted out and will not return. Do you accept? Maya Rivers remained silent for a long moment. The clients waited, some with expressions of morbid curiosity, others with impatience. Eleanor Thorne smiled, confident. She was certain that Maya Rivers had no idea of the amount. The account had probably been opened by some distant relative and abandoned, with a few forgotten pennies. Maya Rivers looked directly into Eleanor Thorne's eyes. Then, with a clear and firm voice, she said, $2,500,000. The air in the branch became dense. Eleanor Thorne froze, the confident smile melting from her face. Richard Sterling dropped his mouse, his mouth open, a flicker of shock on his face. The clients who heard the amount were in absolute shock. Maya Rivers continued to stare at Eleanor Thorne without blinking. $2,500,000. Eleanor Thorne slowly turned to Richard Sterling, her face pale as wax. Richard, check it now. With trembling hands, Richard Sterling clicked on the full account statement. He waited for the system to load, the screen to light up. Then he read in a low, almost inaudible voice, $2,513,942. The silence that followed was deafening. Nobody moved. It was as if time had stopped inside that Atlantic National Bank branch on Madison Avenue. All eyes were fixed on Maya Rivers, the black pregnant woman whom they had judged, scorned, humiliated, without knowing her story. The millionaire. Eleanor Thorne was so pale she looked about to faint. Her mouth opened and closed, but no words could escape. Richard Sterling's arrogance, the superiority that irritated everyone, dissolved in seconds. He fixed his eyes on the computer screen, blinking at a frantic pace, as if the force of his gaze could alter the displayed numbers. A client, previously furious in his grey suit, recoiled, tripping over his own briefcase. But Maya Rivers, a pregnant black woman, remained motionless. No emotion was apparent, neither satisfaction, nor anger, nor relief. Only that unshakable calm, the same that had accompanied her since she entered the Atlantic National Bank. It was then that her voice, low and firm, broke the tense silence. "May I be served now?" Eleanor swallowed hard, a desperate maneuver to regain control. Her voice, however, betrayed her, coming out husky and trembling. I need you, Richard. Confirm this account's details. Check everything." Richard, like an automaton, plunged into frenetic typing. Every account detail was scrutinized. Opening date, account holder's name, transactions, the entire history. "The account was opened 18 years ago," he finally uttered, his voice still choked by tension. "Account holder, Maya Rivers, no movement for 6 months. Before that, regular deposits, transfers, everything perfectly registered." A small sigh escaped Maya's lips. 6 months. The phrase resonated heavy in the minds of those present. 6 months without any banking activity. 6 months that, for Maya, had undoubtedly been the darkest of her life. At the back of the hall, a more experienced employee, Ms. Helen Ramirez, watched the scene with singular attention. Having been at Atlantic National Bank for over 20 years, she knew every face, every story of the old clients. And an ancient memory began to awaken. Slowly, with hesitant steps yet imbued with silent determination, Ms. Helen rose from her chair. She approached the group, her voice almost a whisper. "Excuse me." Eleanor turned, irritated by the interruption. "Ms. Helen, please, now is not the time." But the elderly woman did not falter. "I know this account," she insisted. All eyes turned to the employee. Maya then shifted her gaze to Ms. Helen, and at that instant, a subtle change crossed her expression. There was recognition there, a spark of memory in her eyes. Ms. Helen's voice, now firm despite the emotion, regained control. "This account," she explained, "was opened by Dr. David Rivers and Dr. Evelyn Rivers." She paused briefly. They were VIP clients of Atlantic National Bank, renowned entrepreneurs, owners of a network of medical clinics here in New York. Eleanor's eyes widened, the shock evident. "The Rivers, I remember them. They were incredibly wealthy." "Yes, they were," Ms. Helen confirmed with a nod. "They opened this account for their only daughter, Maya. They deposited a generous amount every month. They wanted to ensure her future." Maya closed her eyes just for an instant. A deep pain, almost palpable, crossed her face. Ms. Helen, understanding, stepped forward. "Maya," her voice now softer, "you were just a little girl when I last saw you. You always came here with your parents, polite, always smiling. What happened to you?" Maya opened her eyes. Stubborn tears, almost formed, were held back by strong, rapid blinks. "My parents died 6 months ago. Car accident." The revelation shocked the room. A dense, heavy silence settled, suffocating everyone. Ms. Helen Ramirez brought a hand to her chest, her eyes immediately welling up. "My God," she murmured. I didn't know. I'm so sorry, my dear. Truly sorry." Maya merely nodded, a silent yet profound thanks. Richard Sterling, still dazed, dared to break the quiet. But how did you end up like this? With all that money? And what happened with your aunt and uncle?" Maya's voice, firm on the surface, brimmed with latent pain. "When my parents died," she began, "my Aunt Vivian Hayes and Uncle Roger Hayes appeared. They were my closest relatives. They told me they would take care of me, that I could trust them. I had just lost my parents. I was completely devastated and I believed them." She paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. 2 weeks later, they tried to force me to sign documents, papers that would transfer all of my parents' inheritance into their names. Her voice deepened. "They said it was for my own good, that I was too young to manage so much money. When I refused, everything changed." Eleanor Thorne was in absolute shock. Her arrogance had completely vanished. She just listened, her mouth agape. "They locked me in the house," Maya continued. "Took my cell phone, prevented me from leaving. They said I was crazy, in pathological mourning, that I needed treatment. They tried to forcibly commit me to a psychiatric clinic." Ms. Helen Ramirez, horrified, brought her hands to her face. Maya continued, her voice gaining strength with each word. "I managed to escape, one night. I jumped over the backyard wall, taking only this backpack, with documents I had hidden. There was nowhere to go, no one. All of our family friends, everyone, had disappeared after the funeral. I ended up on the streets. But why didn't you go to the police? Why didn't you seek help?" Richard Sterling asked, visibly confused. "I did. I went to the precinct. But my Aunt Vivian Hayes and Uncle Roger Hayes had influential contacts. They told the police I was having psychotic episodes, that I was fleeing treatment, that I was a danger to myself. False medical reports were presented. No one believed me." Maya, a black, pregnant woman, swept her gaze across the Atlantic National Bank lobby on bustling Madison Avenue, at all those faces that had judged her so quickly. "When you're dirty, when you're on the streets," she said, her voice low but laden, "no one believes you. No matter what you say, you simply stop being human to others." A heavy silence fell. Several customers, embarrassed, looked away. "But I didn't give up," Maya Rivers continued, a flame of resilience in her eyes. "Before fleeing, I got the contact of an attorney who had worked with my father, Dr. David Rivers, attorney Paul Harrison. I called him from a worn public payphone near Bryant Park. I told him everything. He believed me. He began investigating. He gathered proof that my Aunt Vivian Hayes and Uncle Roger Hayes were trying to forge documents, manipulate the inheritance." Ms. Helen Ramirez smiled, tears streaming down her face. "And he succeeded. He managed to prove it." Maya nodded slowly. "The court ruling came out last week. According to the proceedings, they were convicted of attempted fraud, unlawful confinement, and document forgery. All of my parents' assets, Dr. David and Dr. Evelyn Rivers, legally returned to me. All accounts were unfrozen by court order." She looked directly at Eleanor Thorne, including this one. Eleanor was completely speechless. The entire situation had been turned upside down. A young client in line, Liam Miller, who had been watching everything in silence, cleared his throat. "Sorry for judging you. I didn't know." Maya looked at him, offering a small, sad smile. "No one ever knows, but everyone judges." Ms. Helen Ramirez approached, tears freely flowing down her face. "My dear, why didn't you seek help here at the bank? We could have." "I tried," Maya interrupted her softly. I came here 3 times in the last few weeks. All 3 times I was expelled before even reaching the counter. She paused, her eyes fixed on Eleanor Thorne. Today, I promised myself I wouldn't leave here without being heard. Eleanor closed her eyes. Shame finally overwhelmed her. Maya straightened her back, her posture now one of pure authority. So, now that you know who I am, I can finally take care of what I came here to do. Eleanor Thorne cleared her throat, trying to salvage some semblance of authority, but her voice came out much weaker than she intended. Of course you can. Richard Sterling, prepare a VIP room for Ms. Rivers. Richard Sterling nodded quickly and began to move, but Maya raised her hand. No. Everyone stopped. No? Eleanor Thorne repeated, confused. I don't want a VIP room. I want to be served right here at the counter, like any ordinary customer. Eleanor Thorne blinked, disconcerted. But you are entitled to preferential service. With that balance, you are a premium client. I know what I am, Maya interrupted, her voice firm and unyielding. But you didn't know. No one here knew. And yet you treated me like trash. So now I want everyone to see. I want all the clients here to see how you will treat me now that you know who I am. The silence was so heavy, it seemed to suffocate the air. Eleanor Thorne swallowed hard. She knew exactly what Maya was doing. It was a lesson, a public and humiliating lesson. As you prefer, Eleanor Thorne said, her voice almost inaudible. Maya Rivers walked to the central counter. Richard Sterling rushed to the other side, preparing the computer. All the clients in the branch remained exactly where they were. No one wanted to leave. Every eye was fixed. No one dared to move, and the silence was heavy. What would you like to do, ma'am? Richard asked, his voice still tense, almost a whisper. Maya Rivers, the pregnant black woman who demanded respect, was direct. First, I need a complete statement for the last 6 months. I want to check for any unauthorized transaction attempts. Richard, nimble, typed. Quickly, the statement sheets began to slide out of the printer, piling up. Maya picked up the papers, and her gaze, initially serene, swept over each line, each transaction, each date, each amount. She was looking for something specific. And then, she found it. One particular transaction made her stop. Her expression changed. The calm from before gave way to a growing shadow, pure rage. What is this? She questioned, her tone perilously low. Maya's finger pointed to a specific line. Richard leaned in, his eyes wide as he read. This is an attempted transfer in the amount of, my God, $2 million. The shock hung in the air. Attempted, Maya repeated, her voice cutting like a blade. Yes, Richard confirmed. The transaction was automatically blocked by the system. It required biometric authentication and a special password. As it was not provided, it was immediately cancelled. Maya clutched the paper, almost crumpling it. When exactly did this happen? 3 months ago, Richard replied. On August 15th. Maya closed her eyes, inhaled deeply, seeking focus. When she reopened them, they shone with unshakable determination. And what name was used for this attempted transfer? Richard checked the system. The answer came, a blow. Roger Hayes. A murmur swept through the agency, expressions of shock, heads shaking in clear disapproval. Her uncle. But Maya was not finished. Are there any more attempts? Richard, now more attentive, searched again. Yes, ma'am, 2 weeks later, the same person, this time attempting to withdraw $100,000 in cash. Again, blocked. Maya let out a short, joyless laugh. He truly believed he could succeed, that no one would notice. Ms. Helen Ramirez, who had been observing closely, approached with a touch on Maya's shoulder. My child, you must report this. It's a profound injustice. I already have, Maya responded, her voice firm. My attorney, Paul Harrison, possesses documentation of these nefarious attempts. While integral to the ongoing legal process, I felt compelled to witness the evidence firsthand. She turned to Richard Sterling with a clear order. I want you to permanently block any third-party access attempts to this account. No one else. Only I possess the authority to transact, not even through a power of attorney, nor by judicial decree. Absolutely no one. Yes, ma'am, I will do that immediately, Richard assured, already typing. As Richard worked configuring the account security, Maya lifted her gaze. She swept the opulent Atlantic National Bank branch, her gaze settling deliberately upon each customer. Those who had so readily cast judgment, who had openly scoffed, who had averted their eyes with palpable repulsion. Now, some visibly lowered their heads, their shame a palpable shroud. Others offered a faint, tentative smile, a transparent overture towards unlikely redemption. An elderly woman, who had previously clutched her purse tighter, approached, her voice almost a whisper. "Miss, I regrettably judged you without the benefit of your true narrative. It was an egregious misjudgment." Maya looked at her. No anger flared in her gaze, only a profound, almost ancestral sorrow that resonated with the burdens of generations. "You were assuredly not the first," she stated, "and, regrettably, you shall not be the last." The elderly woman felt tears well up, and in silence returned to her seat. Eleanor Thorne, the branch manager, remained rooted, a tableau of utter immobilization. Her meticulously constructed world had irrevocably crumbled within mere minutes. She stood bereft of action, devoid of articulation. Maya turned her attention back to Eleanor. "Eleanor, right. Yes, ma'am. How long have you worked at this Atlantic National Bank?" Eleanor hesitated. 15 years. 15 years, Maya repeated, her tone grave. A span of time surely sufficient to inculcate the fundamental principle of treating all individuals with inherent dignity. Would you not agree? Eleanor remained silent. There was no defense, no answer. "You labeled me a vagrant. You asserted I reeked. You declared me devoid of rights. You claimed I was an embarrassment to your esteemed clientele." Each pronouncement was a precise, cutting blow, a direct thrust into the raw core of Eleanor's conscience. "Are you cognizant of how frequently such indignities have been hurled at me over the past 6 months? From law enforcement, from security personnel, from countless individuals on the thoroughfares, from people precisely like yourself." Maya's voice rose, but she did not lose her calm. "Individuals who presumptuously elevate themselves merely by virtue of employment, by clean attire, by the simple shelter of a roof." Maya took a step forward. "But are you aware of the profound truth I have assimilated?" She paused, allowing the gravity to settle. "I have learned that true character bears no correlation with pecuniary wealth. There exist individuals of vast fortune who are morally bereft within. And conversely, there are those dwelling on the unforgiving streets, entirely without means, who nonetheless harbor an unyielding core of dignity, profound compassion, and unwavering humanity." Eleanor's eyes brimmed, tears poised to cascade. Yet Maya, the pregnant black woman whom all had scorned, had not yet concluded her indictment. "I possess the authority to demand your immediate termination. With the balance I hold in this bank, with the influence my family still commands, I could, with a simple phone call, pulverize your career." Eleanor's face drained of all color, every feature paling in sheer shock. But the unexpected followed. "I won't do it." Eleanor's eyes widened, a raw surprise etched onto her countenance. "I won't do it, because I am not you." Maya's voice was firm, each word a sharp contrast. "I don't judge people by the worst moment of their lives. Everyone deserves a chance to be better." A solitary tear slipped down Eleanor's face. "But I want you to learn something today." Maya stared intensely at her. "I want you to remember this situation every time someone different walks through that door. Every time you feel the urge to judge, to disdain, to humiliate." She held the gaze, the message cutting deep. "Because you never know who is standing before you. You never know the story that person carries. And, more importantly, you never know when it might be you in their position." Eleanor nodded slowly, tears now falling freely. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice almost inaudible. "I am truly sorry." Maya remained silent for a long moment, then simply gave a slight nod. Richard, meanwhile, finalized the last adjustments. "All set," he announced, breaking the heavy silence. "The account is protected. Only you will be able to access it." "Thank you," Maya replied, taking a deep breath. Her eyes swept across the statement in her hands, then the environment, the people around her, before a decision emerged. Now, I need to make a withdrawal. Richard promptly offered his assistance. How much do you need? Maya pondered for a moment. $10,000 in cash. Richard nearly choked. $10,000 in cash? Yes, she confirmed. Richard cleared his throat, nervous. Ma'am, for a withdrawal of this amount, we need to follow some procedures. First, I will verify the available cash limit today. Second, I will need you to fill out a cash withdrawal form and present a photo ID. And finally, for security and banking compliance reasons, we need to schedule the pickup for tomorrow. Is that possible? Maya nodded calmly. I understand, no problem. You can schedule it for tomorrow at the same time. Perfect, Richard concluded. I will prepare all the documentation now for you to sign. Tomorrow the money will be separated and ready for withdrawal. Eleanor approached, her voice softer. Ms. Rivers, for your safety, we also recommend arranging transport with an armored car service or security escort. Maya offered a small smile. Thank you for the concern. I'll arrange that. While Richard prepared the documents, Maya remained standing in the middle of the hall. The gazes that enveloped her were no longer ones of judgment. Now they carried respect, admiration, even a tinge of shame. Mrs. Helen Ramirez came to her again, this time bringing a chair. Sit here, my dear, you must be tired. Maya looked at the chair, then at Ms. Helen Ramirez, and, for the first time since she had stepped into that Atlantic National Bank, she smiled, a small but sincere smile. Thank you. She sat. Richard returned with the documents. Maya signed each page calmly, presenting her ID again for verification. Everything was meticulously recorded in the system. There you go, Ms. Rivers. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the amount will be available for withdrawal. You will only need to present your ID again and sign the receipt form. Perfect, thank you. Maya stood, picking up her time-worn backpack. Until tomorrow. The next day, Maya returned to the bank promptly at 2 o'clock. This time, there wasn't even a scrutinizing glance. Some employees nodded in respectful greeting. Richard received her personally. Good afternoon, Ms. Rivers. The amount is ready. If you would please accompany me to the VIP room. Maya gently interrupted him. You can bring it here. Richard hesitated for a second but nodded. As you prefer. He went to the back and returned, carrying a black briefcase. He placed it on the counter and opened it. Stacks of currency notes, meticulously arranged, awaited. $10,000, as requested. I need you to verify and sign the receipt form. Maya quickly verified and signed the document. Thank you, Richard. It was then that a familiar voice filled the agency's space. Maya. She turned. It was Director Arthur Vance, the branch manager. An imposing figure approached. It was Director Arthur Vance, tall, gray-haired, impeccable in his dark suit and eyeglasses. He not only walked with the authority of his position, but carried in his eyes something different, something profound. Respect. Maya, seeing him, closed her briefcase. Then she turned, ready for what was to come, as the director stopped directly in front of her. Maya Rivers, he pronounced. Maya, a pregnant black woman, stood up. Yes, she replied, her voice steady. Arthur Vance extended his hand. Arthur Vance, director of this branch, the Atlantic National Bank. Yesterday, when I learned of everything that transpired here, I felt a profound embarrassment. A brief pause. I knew your parents. The mention of Maya's deceased parents, Dr. David and Dr. Evelyn Rivers, was unexpected. She shook his hand. You knew them? Yes. Dr. David was my physician, and your mother, Dr. Evelyn, cared for my wife during a very difficult treatment some years ago. They were extraordinary people. Maya released his hand, a knot tightening in her throat. They were special people indeed. Director Arthur Vance cast a glance around, noting the customers observing every movement. Maya, on behalf of the Atlantic National Bank, I offer my deepest apologies for what occurred yesterday. The director's public confession was a turning point. I have already implemented new directives. Every employee, without exception, will undergo training focused on humanized service and the non-negotiable respect for the dignity of every individual. A wave of calm, profound satisfaction washed over Maya. "That is truly important. Thank you," she murmured, feeling the weight of the injustice begin to dissipate. At that instant, Richard Sterling, one of the employees, discreetly approached, holding an envelope. "Ms. Rivers, here is a complete copy of all the documents for today's transaction. Anything you may need, we are entirely at your disposal." "Thank you," she replied, taking the briefcase. The director, in a gesture of courtesy and respect, accompanied her to the exit. "Should you require anything at all, do not hesitate to contact me directly," he said, extending a personal card. Maya placed it in her pocket. "Thank you, Mr. Vance." She turned, taking her first steps towards the door, imagining that everything had concluded. But it was then that a choked voice stopped her. "Maya, wait!" Eleanor Thorne, the woman who had humiliated her, stepped forward. Maya paused, slowly turning. Eleanor's state was visibly distressed. Her face, red and swollen, betrayed hours of crying. I just wanted to say that I have no excuses for what I did." Her voice wavered. "The way I treated you was horrible, unforgivable, and I will carry this shame for the rest of my life." She took a deep breath, struggling to control her emotions. "But I want you to know, today you changed me, truly. I will never look at anyone the same way again. I will never judge without first knowing. You taught me a lesson I will never forget." Maya Rivers looked at her, truly looked at her, and perhaps for the first time saw beyond the facade of arrogance and cruelty. She saw only a flawed person, yes, but one capable of genuine vulnerability and recognition. "Everyone deserves a second chance, Eleanor," Maya said softly. "Including you." Eleanor sobbed, a desolate sound. Thank you so much." Maya merely nodded, resuming her path towards the door, the scene of redemption still reverberating in the air. As Maya approached the exit, Marcus Mac Jones, the security guard who had tried to remove her earlier, hurried toward her. "Ma'am, I also want to apologize. I was just doing my job, but that doesn't excuse it. I should have listened to you." Maya looked at him. "What's your name?" "Marcus," he replied. A small smile appeared on her lips. "Marcus, like my father." "Really?" he asked, surprised. "Yes," she continued. "Marcus, do you have family?" He nodded. "I have a wife and 2 young children." "Then teach them," Maya requested, her voice laden with a wisdom that transcended pain. "Teach them that everyone deserves dignity, that appearance never defines someone's worth. Teach them that we never know what someone else is truly going through." Marcus, with tears in his eyes, promised, "I will. I promise I will do that." Maya moved forward, her steps firm. But just before crossing the threshold of the door, she stopped. She turned one last time, and her gaze swept over all those faces. She observed the change, the transformation that had occurred in so many eyes in such a short time. "I just want to make one thing very clear to all of you," her voice echoed through the now silent agency. "I didn't come here today to seek revenge, nor to humiliate anyone." The pause was calculated, the silence filling the space. "I came here because it was my right, because I deserve to be treated with respect, regardless of how I was dressed or where I had slept last night." She paused again. "And if there's one thing I've learned in these past 6 months, it's that everyone, absolutely everyone, deserves that." Her eyes swept over each person there. The homeless person you hurriedly ignore on the sidewalk of Madison Avenue, the woman reaching out for help at the traffic light, the man trying to sleep in Bryant Park. All of them have a story. All of them are human. All of them deserve dignity. The silence in the agency was absolute, dense. No one dared to move. No one even breathed. Then, she concluded, with an intensity no one would ever forget, "The next time you see someone in a difficult situation, remember me. Remember this. No one truly knows the full narrative of those walking alongside them. Extend to others the very kindness you yourselves hope to receive. For in essence, the difference between my path and any of yours is simply a tapestry of circumstances, and those can transform, for better or worse, in the blink of an eye." With these words echoing in the profound silence, Maya Rivers passed through the imposing glass doors of the Atlantic National Bank, leaving a maelstrom of gazes behind. The door closed softly, marking the quiet end of an era. For minutes on end, no one in the branch dared to stir. All wrestled to process the profound lesson just delivered, an undeniable truth that would forever resonate. Outside, beneath the strong afternoon sun on Madison Avenue, Maya walked, her black briefcase held firmly. For the first time in months, the warmth on her face felt comforting, not oppressive. There was an unprecedented lightness in her steps, a freedom almost palpable. She walked 2 blocks, distancing herself from the financial clamor, until she reached Bryant Park. There, amidst the weathered wooden benches and ancient trees, a quiet, forgotten playground stood witness to her new chapter. Seated on one of the benches, attorney Paul Harrison awaited her. A man in his 60s, with a full head of white hair, gold-rimmed glasses, and an impeccable grey suit. His brown leather briefcase rested on his lap, and his expression, previously etched with worry, visibly brightened as he saw her approach. "Maya, thank goodness I was truly worried. You took longer than we agreed," the attorney exclaimed, rising immediately. A small smile graced Maya's lips. "I apologize, Attorney Harrison. There were some unforeseen circumstances." He scrutinized her from head to toe, noting the wear on her clothes, her bare feet. "Unforeseen circumstances. Maya, what happened? Are you well?" Her reply came firm, imbued with a newfound strength. "I am excellent, better than I've been in a long time." She sat down, placing the briefcase beside her, and Attorney Harrison followed, still visibly uneasy. "Were you able to access the account?" he inquired, his voice low. "I was," she confirmed. The relief was almost palpable in the air. "And is the money safe?" The certainty in her voice was a balm. "It is. Everything is under my control now." Attorney Harrison let out a profound sigh. "How wonderful, this is excellent. Now truly we can begin to rebuild your life, find a dignified place for you, new clothes, tend to your health." "Attorney Paul," Maya Rivers gently interrupted him, with an urgency that surpassed her own well-being. "Before all this, I need to know, what about my Uncle Roger Hayes and Aunt Vivian Hayes? What is their fate?" The attorney's face grew serious. "Ah, yes, I have news about that." He opened his briefcase, revealing documents. "The court's judgment was published yesterday. Your Uncle Roger was sentenced to 8 years of imprisonment for attempted aggravated fraud, document forgery, and unlawful detainment. Your Aunt Vivian received 6 years for the same crimes, with the mitigating factor of secondary involvement." Maya closed her eyes for an instant, absorbing every word. Justice, after all, was finally being served. Will they serve their sentence? The question was almost a whisper. "They will," Attorney Paul assured her. The judge decreed immediate incarceration. Both were transferred to separate correctional facilities. The district attorney's office also requested no possibility of appealing while at liberty, and the request was granted. As for the money they attempted to divert, it is frozen. The court's decision determined the freezing and tracing of all assets acquired by them in the last 6 months. If the improper use of inheritance funds is proven, everything will be reverted to you after a forensic accounting audit. Maya nodded slowly. "And the accomplices, those who helped with the forgeries?" Attorney Paul flipped through some pages. According to the court records, 3 doctors had their licenses preventatively suspended by the New York State Board for Professional Medical Conduct and are facing ethical proceedings. 2 registry clerks were indicted for identity fraud, and the detective, the one who refused to register your initial police report, is under investigation by the Internal Affairs Division. In that moment, something akin to justice finally washed over her. "So it's over. Is it truly over?" "It is over, Maya. You are free. You won." She contemplated her hands, hands that had rummaged through trash, seeking sustenance, hands that trembled with cold on frigid nights out on the street. Those same hands now held her future, the hands that for countless days had clung to the tenuous hope of simply surviving a little longer. "I don't know if I won, Attorney Paul," Maya Rivers confided, her voice thick with emotion. "I merely survived." The attorney, Paul Harrison, extended his hand, placing it gently on the shoulder of the young black pregnant woman. "You did much more than survive, Maya. You fought." He squeezed lightly. "You did not give up. Not when anyone else would have succumbed. You protected your dignity, even when the entire world vociferated that you had none." Thick tears began to stream from Maya's eyes, tracing a path down her face. "There were days I just wanted to give up, Attorney Paul. Nights I slept under the incessant rain, hoping it would simply be easier not to wake up." Attorney Paul's grip on her shoulder tightened, conveying silent strength. "But you did wake up, you persisted, and look where you are now." Maya, taking a deep breath, wiped her tears with the back of her hand, trying to compose herself. "You know what's strangest about all of this?" she asked, her voice almost a whisper. "I should be exultant, celebrating this turnaround, but my mind can only think of all the other people still experiencing what I went through, those who, unlike me, won't have the same luck." He nodded. "How lucky I was to find you, to have someone who believed in me. If you hadn't answered that phone call that night—" "But I did answer, Maya, and believe me," Attorney Paul interrupted firmly. "It wasn't luck, it was choice, your choice. Your decision to keep fighting. Your strength in not letting them destroy you." Maya inhaled deeply, feeling a new determination. "I want to do something, Attorney Paul. Something that transcends, that truly makes a difference." The attorney observed her, interested. "What do you have in mind?" She turned her gaze to the briefcase beside her. "I want to found something," Maya began, her voice gaining confidence. "An aid fund for people experiencing homelessness who are committed to rebuilding their lives, to offer free legal aid, temporary shelters, document support, medical treatment. Everything I didn't have when I needed it most." Attorney Paul smiled, a sparkle in his eyes. "Your parents, Dr. David Rivers and Dr. Evelyn Rivers, do you think they would be proud?" "I'm sure," Maya responded, the image of her parents in her memory. They were people of immense generosity, always concerned with the well-being of others. Attorney Paul nodded. "You are their daughter, Maya, in every fiber of your being." She felt a renewed determination ignite in her eyes. "Then let's do this, and let's do it right." Attorney Paul took a pen from his folder, ready for action. "I'll start drafting the documents today. How much do you intend to allocate to this fund initially?" Maya pondered for a brief moment. 400,000. The attorney almost let the pen slip from his hands. $400,000? "Yes," she confirmed. "It's enough to kickstart something serious, something that truly changes lives." Attorney Paul, visibly surprised, looked at her. "Maya, are you sure? It's a considerable amount." She met his gaze with conviction. "Absolutely sure. This money won't bring my parents back, but it can save lives. It can ignite hope in those who have lost everything, just as I did." Attorney Paul Harrison shook his head, his admiration palpable. "You are an extraordinary person, you know." Maya Rivers offered a subtle smile. "I am merely someone who knows the darkness of rock bottom and who now wishes to cast a rope to those still there." A contemplative silence settled between them as they observed the movement of Bryant Park. Children laughed and played on the swings. A mother gently pushed a baby stroller. An elderly couple walked hand in hand, their lives intertwined. It was a normal life, a simple life, the life Maya had lost and that, finally, she was recovering. "Attorney Paul," she asked, breaking the silence, "may I ask you a question?" "Of course," he replied. "Why did you believe me that night? When I called from that filthy payphone, terrified, probably seeming like a madwoman, why didn't you hang up? Why didn't you ignore me, as everyone else did?" The attorney took off his glasses, cleaning the lenses with a cloth handkerchief. "Because I knew your parents. I knew the kind of people Dr. David Rivers and Dr. Evelyn Rivers were, the values they upheld." He paused, replacing his glasses. "And when you told me your story, Maya, I heard their voice in you. The same dignity, the same strength, the inflexible refusal to accept injustice." A brief fixed gaze met her eyes. "Besides, I have been an attorney for 40 years. I have learned to discern the truth, and you, Maya, were uttering the purest truth I have ever heard. Maya felt a lump form in her throat, her emotions raw. Thank you for everything. Attorney Paul nodded, relaxed. There's no need to thank me. I merely did what any decent person should do, but which most, unfortunately, do not. I know, Maya whispered, and that needs to change. She picked up the briefcase beside her and stood. It truly does, and I will do my part to make that change happen. Attorney Paul also rose to his feet. What will you do now? Maya Rivers observed Bryant Park, her eyes fixed on a man sleeping on an isolated bench. Tattered clothes, matted hair, a plastic bag serving as a pillow. A smile emerged on her lips. It's now, she thought. It's time to start giving back. Just 3 days later, a remarkable transformation. Maya Rivers, a pregnant black woman, was no longer that helpless figure, the homeless girl in dirty clothes and bare feet. Now she wore simple jeans, an immaculate white t-shirt, and sneakers that promised comfort. Her hair, washed and pulled back into a ponytail, framed an unaltered gaze, strong, unwavering, determined. She pushed open the door of a humble diner in Midtown Manhattan. The air was thick with the comforting aroma of home cooking, plastic-topped tables, few patrons at that late hour. In the back, behind the counter, a black woman in her 60s, graying hair pulled into a tight bun, apron marked by work, hands calloused. Maya approached. The woman looked up, a gentle smile lighting her face. Good afternoon, dear. What can I get for you? Maya hesitated. Ms. Elena? The woman frowned, curious. Yes, that's me. Do I know you? You might not remember me, Maya began, her voice thick with gratitude. But 2 months ago, on a freezing night, I was sleeping in Bryant Park, right across the street. You brought me a plate of warm food and an old blanket. Ms. Elena's eyes widened. You're that young woman? The one shivering from the cold, that's me, Maya confirmed. Ms. Elena brought her hands to her face, emotion overflowing. My God, dear, are you all right? Did you get off the streets? I did, and I came here to thank you. Maya opened her bag, taking out an envelope. I want to repay you, Ms. Elena. Repay me, dear, you don't have to. Open it. With slightly trembling hands, Ms. Elena opened the envelope. Inside, a check. She looked at the amount, her heart nearly stopping. $10,000. This is a mistake, isn't it? It's no mistake, it's for you. But I can't accept this. I only gave you a plate of food. Maya held the woman's hands firmly. You gave me hope, you gave me strength to keep going. I know the diner is struggling. Please accept this help. Renovate the place. Rest a little. Miss Elena hugged her with unexpected strength, her sobs echoing. Thank you, my dear. May God bless you always. Just 2 weeks later, a different scene unfolded. Maya Rivers, her pregnancy now more evident, stood before an imposing commercial building in Midtown Manhattan. The facade, once anonymous, now displayed a gleaming sign. The Rivers Foundation, Dignity for All. Beside her, attorney Paul Harrison confirmed, Everything's ready, Maya. The fund is active. You now officially have an aid institution. The door opened softly, and Ms. Helen Ramirez emerged. Recently retired from Atlantic National Bank, she was now the dedicated coordinator of the foundation. Maya, we already have over 50 requests for assistance. A genuine smile lit Maya's face. Then, let's get to work. She stepped inside. The interior was simple, yet every detail conveyed warmth. A welcoming reception area, computers ready for use, rooms for legal counseling, and a small medical clinic. In the back, a shelter with clean beds, offering exactly what Maya had so desperately wished for when she lived on the streets. Along the corridor, framed photographs told a story. Her parents, Dr. David Rivers and Dr. Evelyn Rivers in white lab coats smiling, dedicated to helping people. Maya paused before one particular image, herself as a child, between her father and mother. I did it, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. I didn't give up. 6 months passed. The Rivers Foundation, flourishing daily, had already transformed the lives of over 200 people. Maya was immersed in her office when she heard a gentle knock at the door. "Come in," she called. Who appeared unexpectedly was Eleanor. The former manager of Atlantic National Bank, now unrecognizable, displayed a palpable humility. "Maya, I resigned from the bank." Maya's eyes widened, surprised. "Why?" "I simply couldn't work there anymore," Eleanor confessed, her voice low. "Every time I looked at that place, it was impossible not to relive what I had done. So I sought another path. I started doing volunteer work and, believe me, I learned more in these last few months than in 15 years at the bank." She took a deep breath, visibly nervous. "I came to offer my work here. I know I must be the last person you'd want to see." "You're hired," Maya interrupted, a slight smile emerging. Eleanor blinked, shocked. "What?" "I need someone to coordinate the volunteers," Maya explained, wisdom in her gaze. "Someone who has undergone the transformation you have." Eleanor couldn't hold back her tears. "Thank you, Maya. You don't know how much this means to me." "I know, believe me," Maya replied, her voice imbued with profound comprehension. "I know." 1 year later, Maya Rivers was back at the same Bryant Park, the place where everything indeed had changed. The abrupt ring of her cell phone broke the silence, but for Maya Rivers, a pregnant black woman, it was the sound of new hope. On the other end of the line, the enthusiastic voice of attorney Paul Harrison brought the news her heart had long awaited. "Maya, the foundation just won a National Social Impact Award." A wide, genuine smile lit up her face. "Really? We're recognized as one of the most effective institutions in the country." The question carried a mix of surprise and pride. Hanging up, Maya looked up at the New York sky. "We did it, Dad. We did it, Mom," she whispered. The old pain finally dissipated. The pain didn't win. A gentle breeze coming from Bryant Park swayed the tree leaves, almost like a nod. With firm steps, like someone who had finally found her purpose, Maya resumed her walk. As she walked along Madison Avenue, she noticed a young man sitting on the ground. He held out his hand, an almost invisible figure to the hurried crowd that passed without so much as a glance. Maya stopped. She knelt to his level, establishing eye contact. "What's your name?" she asked sweetly. The young man, surprised, raised his eyes. "Ethan." Tears welled in his eyes when she questioned, "Ethan, are you hungry?" He merely nodded, unable to speak. "Then come with me," Maya invited. "I know a place where you can eat, take a shower, sleep in a clean bed, and if you want, we can help you rebuild your life." Ethan, with watery eyes, ventured, "But why? Why would you help me?" Maya smiled. "Because someone helped me when I needed it most, and now it's my turn to pass it on." Ethan reached out his hand and Maya held it. Together, they walked. Two survivors, two distinct stories. A singular message pulsated in the air. Never judge, never underestimate, never ignore. Dignity is priceless, and everyone deserves a second chance. Life, it changes in an instant. Sometimes, a mere gesture of empathy is enough to completely transform someone's destiny. Maya proved that dignity cannot be bought. It must be practiced. And this is the truth that echoes here. If this message resonated with you, leave a like so more people can find it. Tell us in the comments, who have you judged without knowing their story? Share this video. Let's remind the world of a simple truth.